What if I told you this was a camera? It seems almost impossible when almost everybody today has a camera right in their pockets that is ready for use at a moment's notice. But this is how it all started. By it, I mean photojournalism, not photography. Let me make this clear. The two are completely different things and serve different purposes. Photojournalism is the art or practice of communicating news through photographs, whereas art photography is used just as practice of presenting beauty through photographs which can be manipulated and edited. Photojournalists generally do not manipulate their photos as to be able to tell a truthful story. In the 1940s, during Franklin Roosevelt's term, America suffered through the Great Depression. As part of the New Deal, documentary photographers were sent to photograph the circumstances of life for farmers or people in the West. This was called the Farm Security Administration. The pictures caused an outcry because all the people who were oblivious to the crisis going on were finally able to see the truth perceived through the photographs. Photographers such as Dorothy Lang and Walker Evans were among these workers. After many years of progress, photojournalism has flourished into what it is today. After meeting with one of Central Michigan University's professors and professional photojournalist Kent Miller, we found out what it takes to be a photojournalist today.
Flash photography was a big contributor to photojournalism when Jacob Riis started using flash photography with magnesium in order to capture candid pictures exposing living conditions of the lower class as well as criminals. Magnesium or powder flash was a concept thought up because bulbs were too costly for a modern citizen. The mixed chemicals were very dangerous, so they would use flash lamps where pure magnesium was blown through a flame that resulted in a flash. It was still dangerous, though, and there were so many cases of severe burns on people and curtains being inflamed that flash powder photography was banned quite often. When the 1930s started, so did the golden age of photojournalism. When a new 35mm camera was introduced, it was suddenly easier to take photos, and so more people were introduced to photography. This new camera was light and portable, which allowed for photographers to take it anywhere. Photographers ventured out of their studios and into the everyday lives of others, taking candid photos of people suffering from the Great Depression. When Life magazine started publishing these photos, everyone was now looking at how people touched the most by the Great Depression were living. Magazines like Life and Sports Illustrated were so powerful because this was the first time that a clear picture was being shown and not just an inkblot that was supposed to be a recreation of a picture, which was what had been shown in newspapers in the past. In 1972, Life magazine announced that they were stopping the weekly publication of their magazine, and the golden age came to an end. During World War II, soldiers would carry cameras in their packs with them, but because these photos were intended to be used as propaganda, certain images such as injured or dead Germans were not permitted to be taken. Granted, soldiers still took these types of photos and took them back home with them after the war. Nazis encouraged their soldiers to take photographs as a way of surveillance. Little did they know that if these Nazi soldiers died, their enemies would take the pictures they had taken and would later use them as evidence against the German and Nazi war criminals. The pictures taken during the Holocaust are some of the most riveting photos to date. People still debate on whether or not these photos should be shown to the public. Is it dishonorable to the victims to be showing massive amount of people their most vulnerable moments before death? And does it really provide an educational purpose? These are things people are still debating over even 50 years later.
In 1914, a man named Jacob Riis wrote the book How the Other Half Lives. Riis was a police reporter in New York who wrote for the New York Evening Sun. He documented neighborhoods and the horrific living conditions of police lodging houses. After the publication of the book, police commissioner at the time, Theodore Roosevelt, closed the lodges. Awareness of the situation brought about reforms in housing laws, particularly in regards to overcrowding and substandard living conditions. Other notable photojournalists, such as Andre Friedman, commonly known as Robert Capa, and W. Eugene Smith, worked as wartime photojournalists. Their close-action photographs gave a face to the brutality and chaos of war. John Hart was a photojournalist that worked for the Bakersfield, California newspaper. In 1985, 5-year-old Edward Romero drowned, and Hart captured a photo of the grieving family over Romero's body. Even though publishing the photo resulted in heavy criticism from the community, it ultimately saved many lives by increasing awareness in water and swimming safety. In the month prior to the photo being published, the Bakersfield area had 14 people drown. In the month following the photo's publication, the number of drowning victims had dropped. The evolution of photojournalism has always been improved upon by newer technology, making the act of getting people the news faster and with less hassle, making cameras smaller, lighter, and better overall. In the book Photojournalism, The Professional's Approach, written by Kenneth Cobrae, Cobrae writes about what an important role photojournalism plays in society, stating that photojournalism provides information critical to a demographic society. Photography can show the horrors of war, the tragedy of an accident, or the hardship of poverty. Therefore, it is right to take and publish photos. Without a journalist's photographs, viewers are deprived of what may be critical decision-making information. Based on that outlook, photojournalism plays a large part in telling people the news, and advancements in technology will help make the process faster and easier in trying to find new ways of showing the news, so that the audience may connect to it.